When I think of community, the first thing that comes to mind is mutual aid. Community to me is a network of people that support and care for one another. People who come together not only in times of need, but continuously work towards making a better, more stable, sustainable, and ultimately happier environment to live in. A healthy community looks like having basic resources met: food, housing, healthcare, but also things like quality education and childcare. A healthy community looks like a lush ecosystem, thriving and supporting others and working toward a more beautiful and bountiful future. I know that I would be a great addition to the TWLOHA team because I actively advocate for the wants and needs of those around me. I strive to create a community that is more compassionate and understanding, and people who are willing to show up when things get tough, but also to celebrate with one another when change is happening and when joy is being felt. When COVID hit, I was a direct part in setting up mutual aid in Louisville, managing spreadsheets of contact information, what people needed, what people were willing to do or give, and connecting people to the resources that they needed. One of my main goals is inspiring hope in people and continuing to envision a future of happiness and ease that we deserve, especially in times when media is so flooded with the sense of doom that they love to instill in people. A major influence in my life has absolutely been the suicide of my best friend, Tyler. Experiencing his death completely transformed the way that I choose to live my life. I have become a more spiritual person, a more compassionate person, and someone who is really more open to the life and world that is flowing around me. I have become very deliberate with the people around me and the time that I have here. And I have chosen to be very public about my grief experience and really work towards creating space and platforms where people can have conversations regarding suicide, death, mental health, grief, and really any conversation that society likes to push back against because it is uncomfortable. Other than TWLOHA, I am very passionate about end-of-life care. I have my certification in training as a death doula through the International End-of-Life Doula Association, and serving people who are transitioning through death is one of the most sacred acts I have had the opportunity to bear witness to. I volunteer at the only compassionate care home in Kentucky, the Hildegard House, and we provide a home and compassionate care to those without one or without family to provide that care so that they may die with dignity. A conversation that sparked change in my life was one in 2020 that I had with my best friend, Brooke. We were driving back to Kentucky from Seattle, and we were driving through the winding roads up to the Grand Canyon when I hit a bird. We had been listening to Mount Erie's Now Only, reflecting on the absurdity of death and how it is something that we can't control, and how honored we are to be alive and continue experiencing this beautiful life. We turned around and gave that bird a little shrine and spent some time as it was passing into the next realm, and later found out that Brooke's grandmother had passed away around the same time. And what clicked for me in that moment was showing up for somebody, being fully present, being physically present, and holding space for whatever somebody is feeling or experiencing is often the most needed and best thing that you can do for someone. The hardest thing I've ever had to do is put my body on the line at the Breonna Taylor protests during 2020. I realized it wasn't hard only because the police were shooting tear gas and rubber bullets at us. That was just scary. It was hard because I had to confront my whiteness and fully realize that this is the reality for Black and brown people in the United States every day. Just being alive and there is a risk for them. And it's privileged of me to say that that was hard, but I wholly believe in using that privilege to protect those who are more threatened by the institutions and systems in place.